is going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. We got Ted on vacation in Hawaii, but he's still joining us on the latest episode of First and Ted. I'm excited because, to be honest with you, when the 49ers lose, it's actually more fun to talk about them because they've been kicking so much ass lately. Mainly because I'm a little concerned, and I wanted to bounce it off Ted to see if he feels the same concerns that I do. But before we start anything, I just want to say hello to the crowd in the chat, and I also want to say what's up to Ted. How you doing, Ted?
Hey, doing good, Aaron. Thanks for having me on. Sorry about the time mix-up. I tried to go live an hour early. I knew it was 3 hours difference between us and the West Coast, but somehow I was thinking it's 3 hours difference between me and the West Coast. It's only 2. So it's 1:30 here in Maui, where I'm streaming from. I tried to go outside so people could see the view, but ultimately you wouldn't see me very well. And the view wasn't showing up very well either. It's so bright that it kind of whited out the camera anyway. So here we are.
Yeah, we had a guy on the tractor out there too.
Yeah, that was a fun part.
Out of all times you said in the day, decided to do it just as you're about to start. So
yeah, it's always the way.
Of course, right? Say hi to Red Jet, who's in the chat. She says Ted and Aaron. Thank you, Red Jet, for joining. Luke Luna, he stopped in before he was ready to go into the tattoo shop. Been a while. He says, just wanted to say hi since I saw you going live. Of course, we have my man Bashar, 49er minded. You know, I stream with him on Saturday. He's my dude on and off YouTube. He said to make sure to like and subscribe. I totally appreciate that. We got Kenny, 49er Culp, saying hello, 49er fans. Thank you, Kenny, for dropping in, excuse me. We got the always present Jimmy Perez. He says, what's up in Ted and Aaron? We got E. Molly. I believe he's still going to win with the numbers. I would assume you're talking MVP. I'm not as concerned about MVP more than I want the Niners to finish the season on an upswing. So I guess with that comment, we can kind of go into the first topic I got here. You know, we'll just talk about Purdy having his worst game as a 49er. It was pretty alarming. And the reason I say alarming is he's played so well for a majority of a year, a season and a half now. So his performance, regardless of who you want to blame the interceptions on, if this is tipped, this is whatever, they still go to his stats. So the Niners fought a defense, or again, went up against a defense that was pretty formidable, and the Niners struggled, and he struggled, and they played pretty bad in that game, mainly because of Brock, a little bit because of the defense and some injuries. But what's your overall take on Brock? I know, me and you don't always agree on things and are not always on the same side as far as like maybe how we see him. But how shocked were you that he had that kind of game? Was it a little bit off-putting since he's played so well?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that it was 4 interceptions, but I do think that Purdy's gotten lucky on some interception-worthy balls. We've talked about it some this season. Mm-hmm. There was one point this season where Brock had 4 interceptable balls and no interceptions. And so I think that just caught up with him a little bit yesterday. I mean, the batted balls are something that's been a concern of mine all season, even last season, that there were a lot of batted balls. And then again, I just think it was bad luck that 3 of them got intercepted. But I'm not surprised that the law of averages has caught up a little bit. I mean, that's bound to happen over time, or I shouldn't say bound, but it's likely to happen over time. And so, yeah, it looked worse than I expected it would. But, if you remember, I was being careful. I was kind of always saying the whole season I thought CMC was the MVP. I was starting to say that Brock was making a case for it, but I wanted to wait till after the Ravens game to throw the E word around, the elite word. And I think maybe now people can see why I wanted to wait. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I'm still on the Brock train. I still am a firm believer that he is a very good quarterback. It's just, comparing him to maybe Montana and Young and Brady and Mahomes, maybe we can stop that finally, and we can go ahead and appreciate him for what he is. He's an incredible value. He's a very good quarterback. He just ran into a little bad streak. And let's face it. I mean, I said it in my preview article that I thought if and I kind of said it last week too. If we aren't the best defense in the NFL, I thought the Ravens were, and the Ravens really show that they are the best defense in the NFL, at least as of right now, until we get Eric Armstead back, and oddly enough, Jair Brown started to look more like a rookie in this game, which we were kind of cautiously optimistic about him replacing Hufanga, but we always said it's a small sample size. And he definitely had some pretty huge missed tackles in that game.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to go into that in a little bit. I definitely have the topic of what's going on with the defense and the missed tackles. The one thing about Brock is I never put him in the Montana Young debate place. You know what I mean? I said that, there's traits, guys are fearless. They don't get rattled, yada, yada, yada. I think all quarterbacks get a little bit rattled when they've thrown a bunch of picks. You know what I mean? It's just in your mind. And if you say it isn't, you're lying, because you become a little gun shy. And then when you become gun shy, it actually hurts you more, because now you're hesitant. You double clutch. You aren't sure. And then again, it happens. Part of what I think happened is they went up against the defense. From what I heard, listening to KNBR, is to a defense that doesn't really go for a lot of that motion stuff. They play you straight up. So all that window dressing trash that the Niners do all the time, I'm not calling it trash, but like all that window dressing stuff that they do, movement and all that stuff, that they weren't falling for any of it. And they played the Niners straight up. I didn't see a lot of separation other than maybe Ayuk and early with Kittle. I thought there was they were sitting on a lot of our receivers, man. I just didn't see a lot of separation.
I also saw some uncalled DPI. I saw
yeah.
One that turned into one of the interceptions. He came right through Kittle. And I think it was another one where they came through Kittle or through one of our receivers, and both were uncalled. That was frustrating for me as well, too.
I remember talking with Bashar, and I'm sure he's going to bring it up on one of his shows this week, and we'll probably bring it up on Saturday. Bashar didn't think that the Niners could possibly win however many straight and not lose for almost 2.5 months, like all November, all December, all January, and then into February where the Super Bowl is. And he was almost like, he's like, I don't want a loss, but I feel like they need to have one. Now, I'm not of this mindset. I know somebody kept saying, why do people always say it was humbling and they needed to be humbled? Like, no, they just got their ass kicked straight up. That's what happened. They went up against somebody who's a little bit more of a bully than they are, and they got their ass kicked. Happens in life. The bully gets his ass kicked once in a while, and they got stomped. Went up against a team with a really good defense. Regardless of how I feel about Lamar as a passer, he's an incredible athlete. And the Niners looked slow. They looked, I don't know, like it just felt like the Ravens were one step ahead the entire game. The Niners could move the ball in chunks in certain plays. Brock kept turning the ball over. You can't win with 4 interceptions by your starter and 1 by your backup. It's just impossible. You can talk about, in a little bit how that affected the offense for the Ravens because they were getting a lot of short fields. So I was shocked that Brock played this bad. I really was. Again, I never said he was going to be the greatest quarterback of all time, but they've been playing so well that I just honestly didn't expect this kind of a performance against the Ravens. I thought if they lost, it would have been close. I didn't expect them to they got kicked. They got their ass kicked, and Brock played bad, and defense couldn't hold up, and a lot of injuries. So yeah, here we are. We had to win our last 2. If we win our next 2 games, we get the number 1 seed. If we don't, we're going on the road. So pretty much you screw yourself when you lose games that you shouldn't. And now the Niners got to, they got to pay the price.
Yeah, no doubt. And somehow, another thing the Ravens had was they had a big rest advantage. I'd talked about that since the offseason. I had picked it as a game where I thought the Ravens would win this game based off that rest advantage. And this was even before they were playing as well as they've been playing recently. And somehow last week I talked myself into the 49ers winning. I picked us 28-27 and put that in my article. And I'm just like kicking myself because, like, how many times did I say, like, this was the game that I circled as, instead of being 12-5, I had us 11-6 for the season, based off of this game losing to the Ravens on Christmas Day. So we've been saying all along that we think that the 49ers can beat anybody if they're healthy, and we definitely weren't healthy, missing Armstead and missing Juwan Jennings. Armstead is obviously huge in stopping the run, and Juwan Jennings is huge in blocking for our run game, and also for that third and Juwan factor that he provides on third downs, a lot of third and longs. Everybody's so busy with Debo and Ayuk and Kittle and CMC that they forget about good old JJ. So yeah, the missing of AA and JJ were both pretty big for us too, I feel like.
Yeah. And then you can go into the fact that we lost Trent Williams during the game, towards the end of the game.
Yeah, that was awful.
I'm not here making a ton of excuses for them. I think the Niners just got outplayed, outcoached. Anything you want to say, out, and then another word after. You just put it there. But Red Jet said it best. I don't know. At the end of the day, I just didn't expect it to be that bad. Man, F. Totally. I just didn't see that kind of a performance coming, man. Like, whoa. I mean, the Ravens are good. Ravens are a great team. Don't get me wrong, but the Niners look like I don't know, man. Like everybody, I don't know. And I understand, you gotta swallow it and swallow it. Excuse me, that's not the word. Pause. But you got to bury it and move on as far as losses. But we got 2 games, one against the Commanders, one against the Rams. Brock has a chance to wash that taste out of his mouth. You hope as a young player that he doesn't let it get to him. He's been, all that in a bag of chips when it comes to his mental strength. But he is a young quarterback, and you wonder how much that kind of a performance is going to affect him. So say all you want that, I've, washed it away and I'm ready to go. But until you get on the field, I'll see. I want to see myself personally. So,
what do you say to the people that are saying that Kyle didn't get out coached, that he just didn't want to show his cards in case we play the Ravens again in the Super Bowl? Do you believe any of that? Or do you think that's a bunch of hooey?
It's funny that you asked that, because I have a clip from Dante Whitner that I wanted to play, and then I wanted to ask you about it. So I'll play the clip because it has a lot to do with what you just said. It kind of makes a bunch of excuses for us, and that we can use it to our advantage, kind of thing. Which I'm kind of half with it and half not. But I'll play this, and then we'll answer.
The 49ers loss to the Baltimore Ravens on Monday night is a blessing in disguise. Now hear me out. It gave the 49ers defense a chance to see Lamar Jackson firsthand up close and see the type of speed that he plays with. It also gives Steve Wilks the opportunity to go back, analyze the film, and craft a game plan on keeping him in the pocket and the individual players on tackling him in the open field. For the 49ers secondary, it gave them a chance to see the Baltimore Ravens in the Super Bowl, how long they're going to have to cover and latch on to receivers in the back end. We call that plaster. This first look at the Baltimore Ravens also gave Kyle Shanahan an opportunity to check this Baltimore defense and figure out, if they are to meet later, who is he going to attack? Is it going to be Kyle Hamilton, the big nickel, 6'4", 200-pound safety with versatility that can cover wide receivers, tight ends, and majority of the game plays in the slot? The game also gave Brock Purdy an opportunity to get those turnovers out of his system. This was the first time all season that we saw Brock Purdy flustered in the pocket, and that turned into 4 interceptions on the day. 2 that was his fault, and 2 that were tip balls. The biggest thing, in my opinion, that it gave the 49ers individual players on offense and defense, it gave them an opportunity to see the type of physicality in which the Baltimore Ravens play with each and every play. If you're going to win the championship, you have to bully the bully, and the 49ers will be prepared the next time they see the Baltimore Ravens.
Care to comment, Ted? You asked me, do you think it's a Kyle not showing? I don't know. I thought the Niners Tyler McGurk in the comments said it really well. He said 5 turnovers, 10 penalties, and they somehow only lost by 14. Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen and Kyle Hamilton just took away the middle of the field better than anyone we've played and will play again. So I think it was more of that than it was Kyle not wanting to show. That's foolish, You're trying to win games to get it a better seed. Why would you not play your best ball? You know what I mean? Like, I don't believe that. What do you think about with the comments of Dante there? Dante makes everything really sound positive. And he makes you kind of feel better about things, but I don't technically buy everything that he's putting up selling. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of truth to it, but there's no guarantee that we'll play the Ravens if we make it to the Super Bowl anyway. I think I don't see really any AFC teams that are playing as well as them, at least right now, but a lot of weird things could happen in the playoffs. So yeah, probably not the best idea if that was Kyle's plan, but it does kind of remind me of the 2021 when we swept the Rams during the regular season and then lost to them in the NFC Championship game. And maybe Kyle's trying to avoid a similar type situation with the Ravens in the Super Bowl. I don't know. I know that I didn't really like our game plan. I would have liked to see us run the ball better if we're getting 6.7 yards per carry. I'd like to see us take advantage more of that. But as far as Dante Whitner goes, yeah, I think there's some truth to what he says. I don't think it's as rosy as he paints it. But, I think it is hard to win a lot of games in a row. And if you're going to lose one, at least the Ravens, there's no shame in losing to a team like the Ravens. They're a really top quality opponent. It'd be a bummer to beat the Ravens and then lose to the Commanders, right? So,
right.
So. And
it's not like we haven't beat good teams this year.
No, that's true. I mean, we beat the Eagles, we beat the Cowboys.
We went to Philly in Philly on a horrible, nasty night. Not beat them. We whooped them in their own building. All right.
Absolutely.
Dallas, we whooped. Jacksonville at that time was a playoff team that looked really good. We went in their place and we whooped them. You can't beat everybody. I agree with you. It was a little off-putting, this loss, because Brock played so bad. And then him getting hurt is definitely a concern of mine. And maybe we can, take this discussion, maybe move it to the injury topic while we're talking about Brock. So let's talk about Brock real quick. How concerned are you with this stinger thing that's happened to him twice now? It's got me concerned for sure.
I'm not too worried about it. They happen in the NFL. They usually only just take a few days to get better. Most of the time, they're better the next week. So not terribly too concerned. I was really concerned when the first one happened that it was a concussion. And so much rather have a stinger than a concussion, I suppose.
Yeah, and then you got, of course, we had Trent Williams get hurt his groin last night. Jalen Moore got 2 nights ago. Jalen Moore, of course, injured. Even Jair Brown is on the injury list right now.
Yeah,
and then
looks like he sprained knee.
Yeah, the Niners are pretty banged up. They got to find a way. Honestly, Ted, they have to find a way through hell or high water to make it to these next two games and win them.
Well, and you left out maybe the most concerning one too, Aaron Banks' toe. If that's turf toe, then that could be 2 or 3 games. I'm not too worried about any of them for the Commanders game. But the Rams at the end of the season is looming large. Stafford's playing well. They've got Cooper Kupp. They got Puka Nacua. And this Kyron Williams running back is, I think on a per game basis, he's putting up numbers a lot like CMC. I'm not going to say he's CMC, but he's very impressive what he's been doing. It's just that he missed some games, so that's why he's behind CMC and like the rushing total and things like that.
Yeah, we got this EP 23 in here. It must be a Jag. Well, I don't even know what fan he is. It said Jaguars. I'm going to assume he's a Baltimore Ravens.
Rams.
Oh, he's a Rams fan?
I think so.
Yeah, he's probably 12 years old. Is the way he's talking. You suck. They suck. You suck. I'll be like a kid. I'm gonna put it out there. But thanks for the view. I appreciate it. Like Ted said, a view's a view, right? So if you want to,
right.
as long as you don't say anything racist or prejudice or whatever, then you're good. So, no sexist stuff. So yeah, keep talking. Nobody's really paying attention to you anyway, except for me. Oh yeah. And so does your mother.
Get him, James.
Do it. We got CJ Gray's on the party here. We got Steve Supremo. We have James Durnall. Thank you for coming through. The injuries are really concerned to me, but I mean, it is a thing to me, Ted. You just got to make it through. You got to win the next 2 games, and then you get a week off, and you can get really, really healthy really fast. So they did it to themselves. They beat the Ravens, and then they only have to win 1 more game, but now they have to win 2 games. I guess the only way that might not have to happen is if, the
Eagles lose.
Like the Eagles lose and the Lions lose. I don't know who the Lions play at the end of the seasons.
I haven't been paying attention, but I'll check it out. I was going to say, though, there is some good news this week.
Yeah. You want to talk about the signing?
Well, whenever you're ready. I don't want to rush it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So as everybody knows, who's a 49ers fan, who has a brain, Eric Armstead's been missing for the last 3 games, and he doesn't look like anywhere close to making his way back. So the 49ers signed former Chargers defensive tackle Sebastian Joseph Day. Pretty good player. He was a team captain with the Chargers, also played for the Rams at one point.
When they won the Super Bowl.
Right. Pretty formidable. I wouldn't say he's like an all-star or anything.
Good against the run, though.
Yeah, he's good against the run, which is something we're struggling. To me, Ted, this is an indictment on the backups that we have, like the Javon Kinlaws and the other players that have been going up inside, that they just don't have enough in their ass on the run game and can't really rush the passer. I guess he can do kind of both a little bit. So what's your take on Sebastian Joseph Day?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was a pretty good depth piece for the Rams. And when they lost him to the Chargers, it was something I was like, it was on this long list of guys that they lost, where I was saying basically I was fading the Rams because of all the people they lost after the Super Bowl. And, they kept telling me, oh, we don't need him. But he's a solid player, and I'm glad we got him. Like I said, he's not, going to be Javon Hargrave of the pass rush, but he's a decent pass rusher and a really good run stuffer, and that's what we need with Eric Armstead out. We were really missing his ability to keep our linebackers clean. So I'm pretty excited about it. Now, here we go. We got to root for the Dallas Cowboys to beat the Detroit Lions this week. So that's who they play. And then they play Minnesota to close out the season. And Minnesota, they're kind of an up and down team. Yeah,
they've been tough.
They'd be tougher with Kirk Cousins, but they could do us a solid. It's a divisional matchup, so in the AFC or NFC North. So that could be helpful for us coming into the end of the season.
Yeah. So how would it go if we win and those teams lose? Could we still get in as the 1 seed?
Yeah, if we lose and they lose, yes. We hold the tiebreaker head-to-head versus Eagles or Lions, and the Cowboys are a game back. So, and so we have the tiebreaker against the Cowboys too.
So the Dallas Cowboys play who this week? The Lions?
The Lions, yeah.
And the Eagles.
They play the Cards and then the Giants.
Cards and the Giants. So the Eagles aren't losing. And if they do, that would be great. But yeah, tonight, like I said, we just got to take care of business. It's it's. I did not. Again, what sucks too about that whole game is it was on Monday Night Football. We've been really good this year. Anytime they put us on prime time, we kick butt. But that game, man, if you had just tuned in for the first time and you didn't know anything about football, they would have been like, wow, number 13 and that team sucks. So that's how I think. I think about what other people think. That's my problem. But listen, there's the sky isn't falling. We still have a lot of good players healthy. Like I said, all we have to do is win the next 2 games. And okay, EP, I'm going to put you in timeout. Okay. Y'all always suck. Hey, you're going to go.
Suck to the Super Bowl, suck to the NFC Championship game twice.
Actually, you know what? I'm just going to ban and delete your comments.
Suck to 11-4. Yeah, that he's an idiot. See ya.
How was he able to comment when I banned him?
He must have fired it off right as you were doing it. There's probably a little delay there, guys. It's gone.
Anyways, what were we talking about? I forgot.
We were talking about Sebastian Joseph Day, helping to shore up the defensive tackle position because Eric Armstead's out. Also, we're missing Kalia Davis, who has a high ankle sprain, so he's on IR through the end of the season.
Javon Hargrave, how are you disappointed in him this year? You think he's played well enough to make an excuse for that contract?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's a good pass rusher, and that's what we got him for. He's not a run stuffer. I was surprised how much we played him on base downs in run situations. I thought he would be more of a pass rush specialist, but I think we were just so thin at defensive tackle that he ended up playing more in run situations than we probably would want to do moving forward.
Me and Bashar have both said that the Niners really need to get themselves, maybe in this coming draft, they need to get a big D tackle. I know they don't run a 3-4, they run a 4-3, but the one thing the Niners haven't had in the middle for a really long time is a clogging, giant defensive tackle, 6'1", 335, 340 pounds of just human mass.
A Vince Wilfork type.
Yeah, we have all these, decent sized guys, or we have really tall guys in when we had Buckner and Armstead, but we never had somebody who can anchor, and that's really something I'd love to see. But between offensive tackle and an anchoring D tackle, those are a couple things. Of course, the Niners are not going to draft any of the people that we want. We learned that last year when they got a kicker instead of a right tackle. So we can only hope. But that is something going into this offseason that I hope the Niners consider. Just get a big fat guy. Just a big fat guy. You know what I mean? It doesn't even have to be good. As long as he's big and fat and he can't be moved. Remember Gilbert? Was it Gilbert Brown from the Packers that used to wreck shop on our offensive line all the time? Nobody could block him. Yeah.
He was huge. No doubt. Yeah, I would like to see us get somebody like that myself. I don't know why we haven't, but they're not. You don't have to use a high draft pick to get someone like that either. So,
Ty Olson in the house. Glad your brother's doing better, my man. He says Aaron and Super Petty Teddy. That's messed up, but it's funny in a way.
I've earned it. It's fine. I get it.
Super Petty Teddy. Brian Culp asks a question, and I'll answer it. We'll answer it. Does anyone else think Mitch Wisnowski's penalty really deserved a penalty? I think it was totally tacky. If you watch it, the guy didn't even go down. He didn't even hit the ground. I thought from the TV angle, and from how I was kind of half paying attention to it, I thought he knocked the guy down. So I'm like, I guess they deserve. When they showed on replay, I think really, dude? He kind of shoulder bumped him. I've seen worse hits.
It's not the end result, though. It's where it happened, and he was like a yard out of bounds. So I'd say, yeah, they did. And Mitch is a big hitter, though. I love that about him. But he has gotten a few penalties. There was definitely the one against the Rams, 2018. No, not 2018. It was week 18 of 2021 when he had the punt. There was a huge return, and he hit the guy. I think he went helmet to helmet with the guy along the left sideline and gave them the ball like almost first down in the red zone after the punt. After Jimmy G like had a butt fumble or he had a fumble, but it wasn't lost. But it kept us from getting a first down, and Mitch had to punt. But anyway, I like that Mitch is a big hitter. I'll take it. I'd rather have him being aggressive and going for it than being some wimpy punter kicker type who gets plowed over like a lot of them do when those situations happen.
Yeah, Ty thinks it was a terrible flag, but Brian Culp said it was borderline. I was kind of on the borderline. I even though it was kind of a little far, I don't know. To me, this speaks to a bigger problem with the 49ers, and that's penalties. This team, it's like when it rains, it pours with this team as far as injuries, turnovers, and then they have a massive amount of just undisciplined play. Whether you want to think the refs have it in for us or not, it's still, I mean, I don't know, man.
Bill Vinovich, remember he was the ref from the Super Bowl against Kansas City. Super Bowl 54 head ref was Bill Vinovich. He was the head ref for the Niners-Ravens game. So it doesn't surprise me. I don't think he likes the Niners.
Apparently not. I thought that call in the end zone with the ref tripping Lamar Jackson was probably the funniest thing I've seen in a long time, because that was probably the only time the Niners really corralled him, other than some of the sacks they got. It was just, it is what it is. And Ty said that I have a big thing for big fat guys. Yeah, I just think that, they have a place. They should be either barbecue guys on YouTube who barbecue stuff and tell you how good it is and how to make it, or they should be defensive tackles. So everybody needs love, even big fat guys, and there's always a play. My dad was a big fat guy, and so I got a special place in my heart, and now I'm kind of a large man myself. So, just got, everybody's got to have a place. There's a guy that I watch, the channel is How to Barbecue Right. And he's this big old fat Southern guy. And I always tell my brother, you never trust a skinny chef, man. And this dude makes some of the most ridiculously good barbecue you'd ever want to have in your life. So if he was like 145 pounds soaking wet and he takes like these little bites, this dude takes the sandwich, shoves it all in his face. So it is what it is. Welcome, Jupes. She says, hello, sorry that I'm late. Aaron and Ted, that's okay. You have a job. You were adulting, so thank you for dropping in.
Sounds dirty when you say it that way.
Pause. Maybe it is. No, I'm just kidding. Hey-o. Let's I want to go back to offense and talk about our offensive line issues. I think our offensive line, if you heard Troy Aikman during the broadcast, he says for as good as this team is, the offensive line, other than Trent Williams, is kind of a huge concern. Do you agree?
No, I mean, I think, Trent Williams is outstanding. I think Aaron Banks is fine. I think Brendel is fine. I think Feliciano is fine. The problem was when Trent Williams went out and we moved. I think McKivitz is, I'm not going to say fine, but he was not awful at right tackle. He just was terrible at left tackle. Jalen Moore had the concussion, and then we ended up with like McKivitz at left tackle, and I think it was Burford in at right tackle, and that was awful. So yeah, if that's when he made the comment, then sure, I agree with it. But I think the starting O-line, especially the not starting O-line, the starting O-line minus Burford plus Feliciano, I think is pretty decent, honestly. I think, when I made a comment I don't know, I think it's probably Raj posted up, our SF 49ers posted up about Sebastian Joseph Day, and I quote tweeted it, and they said, silver lining from our loss last night that we got him. I think it sped up the process. Like if we were on the fence about signing him or not, I think the loss really galvanized that, to make the right offer to make sure we got him. And somebody said, oh, does he play O-line? And I was really tempted to fire off something back because it's like, yeah, we didn't look good against the Ravens, but the Ravens lead the league in sacks, folks. So they have arguably the best defensive line in football, or the best pass rush, if you want to include other players. Other players that pass rush besides the D line. Yeah, so they have the best pass rushing scheme in football. And so we're not going to play that. We're going to play the Commanders, who, let's face it, they shipped Chase Young to us, and they shipped Montez Sweat to the Browns. I saw it was interesting that I think he had like 8.5 sacks with the Commanders, and then his 8.5 sacks with the Browns too, which is pretty incredible. That he had at least last week, he had the exact same number of sacks with both teams this year, which is pretty crazy, and a high number to boot, right? I mean, it's not like 3 or 5. He had 8.5 with each team. So we don't have to worry that much about the Commanders' pass rush. I don't think anymore. They got Deron Payne still, but that's about all they have on that line, if I'm not mistaken. I think there was one other first-round pick that has never been that outstanding, though, on that Commanders D line. And then, then we got the Rams week 18. I'm really worried about the Rams offense. Their defense is underrated. I mean, they're better than you would think from pretty much just having Aaron Donald.
Right.
But, they do have a good linebacker, Ernest Jones. I mentioned him earlier in the season. And I think they've got some good young players on that team, on that defense. But ultimately, we're not going to see anybody like the Ravens D-line for quite some time, at least until the playoffs, until the playoffs. So I'm not super worried about our O-line, especially, again, the thing to keep in mind about the 49ers O-line is, like, it looks a lot better when we're a front runner, right? When we're winning the game and we're running the ball, we're running play action. I saw at one point we were down by 21 in that game, and they come out and they run play action. I'm like, come on, Kyle, like, nobody's biting on play action when you're down by 21 in the third quarter, late in the third quarter. Like, you got to just, bite the bullet. And that's the problem. Then you're trying to run, drop back passing plays, and that is not our forte. So that's just going to make the offensive line look even worse.
Yeah.
So am I worried about it? Not that much. If we can get, it sounds like Trent Williams is pretty much fine. It sounds like he'll play this week as long as Aaron Banks is okay. Brendel. I'd like to just see Feliciano at right guard and McKivitz at right tackle. I'm not too worried about that offensive line.
I'm kind of a big fan of Feliciano at right guard. He just looks like a more solid individual. I'm not a big Burford guy, to be honest with you. I think Burford's kind of
and then he comes in the game and he gets a freaking false start, like
every
almost
time.
Right away.
Anytime you play a game where Burford's in the game, you can guarantee that they're going to get a false start penalty.
Yeah,
he's like he's a walking. How much are false starts? 10 or 5 yards?
5.
So he's going to give away 5 yards a game if he's starting every single time.
Yeah, at least once. Yeah.
Yeah, he fell off. I mean, Aaron Banks, I think he's great, not just because his first name is Aaron. I told my brother, I said, him and Trent Williams, that left side, I said, is massive. I said, when those two are playing and you're running the ball behind them, they're tough. The Niners are tough to beat.
Especially when you put Kittle over there on the edge too.
Yeah, because they're so big. Pause. Sorry. But no, they're massive men. They're both just like, you see them and it's like, I personally could walk behind them. And I'm not a small person and hide. Like Trent Williams, I could just turn sideways. That's pretty awesome. You got a big ass left tackle and right guard. When my guy my size could literally go behind them and not be seen. So, I thought the offensive line, like you said, they were going up against a really good defense, a really good pass rush. I still think they could have played a little bit better. They just, I don't know. They didn't hold up in pass protection on certain plays that Brock needed. The run game, I don't even know if I can blame that more than, like you said, blaming Kyle. Kyle, we talk about this. Me and you talk about this all the time, and this is not an indictment really on the Niners as players, but them as coach, how they're coached. The Niners are a front-running team. When the Niners are scoring a lot of points and holding the ball a lot, and the defense has these short little blips where they're out on the field, getting the pass rush going, making a defensive play, and then putting the offense back on the field, that's when they play their best, and they look unstoppable. Anytime they get in a game where they have to come back or they're struggling offensively, they just have a problem. They look like they don't know how to play professional football. I mean, like, you're not going to win every game up 3 scores. You know what I mean? Some games you have to get dirty and come from behind, and I just haven't seen that from them or a Kyle coach team. What was the stat? Kyle Shanahan coach team, 49er team, since he's been here, if they're 0 like 30 something,
37.
If they're
losing by
behind,
more than
like,
8,
losing by more than 8 points. So their offense is meant to be a front running offense. They're like fast break. If you had to equate the Niners offense to basketball, I feel like they're in their prime. They're the Golden State Warriors. They just move up and down the field, up and down this court. You got, guys shooting threes left and right. That's what they are. When they have to come back, they have to play some physical ball. It's really not their brand. So we'll see. 2 more games. We have a chance. Like I said, we'll get home field advantage. We'll get a week off. So the Niners really, Aaron with the Warriors reference. No, they're a fast break team. Ted agrees. They play fast break football, and when they have to man up and sack up and play some like difficult, physical stuff, the Niners kind of struggle a lot of it, actually. Not a little bit, a lot of it. So, let's see here. Let's talk about whether this loss personally was a blessing in your eyes. Bash, we were talking about it earlier about how me and Bashar talked about how it's, them losing there, to win all those games from now until the playoffs, it would just be realistic. Was losing to this Ravens team a blessing in disguise, or do you not think in those terms?
I mean, I think there are some good things about it. I think that, we were starting to believe that, the hype, if you will, about the team, that, we're getting a little too big for our britches, as my grandma would say, from the South. So in that respect, yes. I mean, this whole, just like the title of my show, I said, R.I.P. to MV Purdy. I think that discussion was a little bit of a distraction. And so in those respects, I can see it being a good thing. I don't think there's any limitation on the number of games in a row you can win. But yeah, I mean, the more you win, the harder it is to keep winning so many games in a row, I suppose. So, I think there are some good sides to it. I think also if we do play the Ravens in the Super Bowl, I think that they'll be maybe a little overconfident after, whipping us so soundly in this game. I think they'll be really surprised if we come out and play a lot better against them in a rematch.
We have Darwin's Raven in here. Me and Bashar, he's a Ravens content creator. Me and Bashar actually on Bashar's channel Saturday, I think it was Saturday. I forgot what day it was. We had him on, really good, really well, lots of knowledge, well spoken, and humble.
Yeah, I had him on Friday.
Ravens fan. Welcome.
He also was on. He was also on with. I got his name from Bryant Colt, so I got to plug Bryant, and he was on with McNiner and Bryant first, then with me, then with you and Bash. So he made the rounds.
He made the rounds. Yeah, he got his flowers, man. They kicked our ass.
I sent him a DM. I sent him a DM to say congrats. So
And I'm not going to be one of those guys that says, well, at least, we'll see you later and, and try to beat us then. No, I'm just talking in the present time. Like, they outplayed us, out physical us, they out everything us. So, Darwin's, Raven, I think your name's Eli. Thank you for coming through.
Levi.
Or is it Levi? Is it Levi? Okay.
Levi.
Like Levi
like
Stadium.
Levi.
Thank you for coming through, man. Appreciate it. And thanks for collaborating with us on Saturday. I'm glad I did it with Bashar. Yeah, it was fun.
It was a good game. Yeah, if you're a Ravens fan.
Yeah, if you're a Ravens fan, it was exactly. I forgot what I was going to ask you about with this game. I know the tackling has been an issue with the 49ers. I don't know if we talked about it too much.
I think some of that is just Lamar. He's incredible.
Yeah, but it's been bad the last 2 or 3 weeks before we played the Ravens. We actually had the least amount of missed tackles. I think we had only 5 in this game, but the amount of tackles has been double digits every single game for probably probably since the Eagles game.
Kyler, also is pretty elusive as well. And before that was blanking out. Before that was Jalen Hurts. So
we played Seattle twice.
Oh, that's right, and Drew Lock.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's always concerning things, but the missed tackles is something that I would like to see clean up because it's happening from the big guys, mainly Fred Warner. Fred Warner has been like a missile that's off course in the last 2 or 3, 4 games. He needs to get that. You can do all the post game rah and get your team all amped up and talk about all this stuff, but you have to go out there and perform. And he has not been the Fred Warner, I think personally, lately than he's been in the past. I mean, it's football. Things happen. Sometimes the other team's just better, but the amount of missed tackles lately has been pretty off-putting. Of course, our safety, like we talked about earlier, Jair Brown, I was high on him, but I was noticing some things that other people weren't noticing about missing tackles. And this game, he was kind of exposed for being the rookie that he is. He did not look good. He was missing a ton of tackles, and now he's hurt. So I don't know, man. Like, they got to get better with the missed tackles, especially going into the playoffs. Maybe they, if we can get the number 1 seed, we have a week off and they're able to, hone in on things, practicing, and come out in the divisional round and, look way better. Because, when we played Jacksonville after the bye week, that was the most crisp I thought we had played in a long time. Me and Bashar both talked about that. So everybody's tired. I know that, there's a lot of talk like, the Niners are tired. It's late in the year. Everybody's beat up. That's the whole league. It's not just the 49ers. So I don't buy that excuse. I just don't. They got to get better.
Part of it is, the defensive tackles.
Yeah.
If they can keep the linebackers cleaner, it's easier not to miss tackles when you don't have a lineman in your face.
Especially when you play the defense we play with smaller linebackers. That the Niners defense is predicating on the defensive line, mainly the tackles, to keep guys clean, the linebackers clean, so they can be free to move and make tackles. When there's that doesn't happen and guys can get to the second level, that's when you have problems. When a linemen are blocking undersized linebackers, you're going to have some problems. So the Niners need to find out whatever they need to do, if they need to pray or, do some seance or something to get themselves to play better and tackle better. Do whatever you got to do, whatever you believe in, because if they're going to play like that and tackle like that in the playoffs, they're going to have some problems. I'm trying to think what else. I had something on my mind that I wanted to discuss with you, and it keeps escaping me. I guess we could talk about, we touched on this. We'll bring it back. We play the Commanders this week. I don't want to overlook the Commanders, but you said something about the Rams, and I put this as a topic, and I said, Rams scare me. They scare me a lot, actually. There's one team I don't want to play in the last game of the season is the Rams, because they're hitting their stride with Puka Nacua Puka Nacua and the quarterback and what's his name, the other guy,
Stafford, Cup, Kyron Williams.
Yeah.
No, Stafford's a hell of a quarterback. And people kind of forgot about that when his O-line fell apart last year. And they forgot about it when Cup was injured a lot of this year. And Kyron Williams then was injured when Cup came back. And now he has kind of a big three that he can throw to. And Kyron Williams is a hell of a running back. And their offense is formidable. Absolutely. Their O-line is playing really well, unlike ours. And the Rams are going to be a tough out week 18, no doubt about it, at Levi's.
I feel like that's going to be a game where we have to score a lot, shootout type game. And I really don't care. I really don't care what kind of game these last two games are, as long as the 49ers win. Because I feel like it's, you get that number one seed, you can alleviate a lot of ails or a lot of things that ail you physically, because you get, it's 2 weeks before you play your next game. I had said this to Bashar, and I'll say this to you. Part of me wanted us to get the number one seed and have the last week of the season be for nothing, and then go into the playoffs. But then that would have been like almost 3 weeks without any type of like real football and any type of competition. And I thought, that would have been bad in a way. I don't know if you agree with me on this. In a way, the 49ers now having to play and win these next two games, do you think it's a good barometer or a good test to see, does it help them going into the playoffs as far as now they have to play meaningful football the last 2 weeks of the season?
Yeah, I mean, if you're one of those rest versus rust people, it's less likely that we'll be rusty if we only have one bye week instead of, 1+. We were talking about all these different scenarios that might happen week 18. If we didn't have to beat the Rams, would we rest all our starters, the ones that are banged up, treat it like a preseason game and have them play one half and, pull everybody from the second half. So all those scenarios make it more likely that you could be rusty when you finally do have to go play playoff football. So, I think from that perspective, it's a good thing to stay sharp. But like Darwin's Raven Levi was saying, they played the Ravens tough. They took the Ravens to OT, and I'm pretty sure the Ravens only won due to a special teams.
Yeah, a kick return in overtime, I think.
Questionable call on special teams. So, you could say the Rams deserve to beat the Ravens, honestly. So, it's pretty crazy. They're going to be tough, and it's a divisional game, and we obviously have the 9-1 advantage in the last 10 games. Don't think that they don't know that too, and they would love to, play spoiler. That they would love to also that could be their only way to get into the playoffs is to win that game. So the Rams are going to be, fighting tooth and nail for that game for sure.
I wanted to ask you about something that we kind of touched on but really didn't, and that was how you feel about Steve Wilks after the Monday night game as far as defensive, just defense overall. I mean, like I said, I know we're missing some guys in the middle on the defensive line, and Jair Brown kind of had a rough game, but they played the run other than the quarterback pretty well. It was Lamar Jackson who kind of beat us up. I don't know who to be mad at as far as, but I'll tell you, during the game, I was upset with Chase Young for, there was the play where he went deep and he went past Lamar and everybody's like, oh, well, you almost sacked him. So how can you be mad at him? Because the whole point of this thing of what we did with Jalen Hurts is you never go past the quarterback until like everyone's there and you've got them completely surrounded. Then maybe you can, but Chase Young went by him and Lamar ran right by him, and that's where he had the longest run of the game on that play with 3 points. That was big. And then I tweeted out that he did it again, but it wasn't Chase Young, it was Cleveland Farrell,
who did it, and it was on the touchdown pass after Clelin Ferrell went too deep. Lamar stepped up into the left, and instead of running, he threw it to Nelson Aguilar for that touchdown, Aguilar's only touchdown of the game. And I said, oh, Chase Young did it again. And people are like, oh no, that was Clelin Ferrell, watch the tape or whatever. But so, I mean, I guess, yeah, if we're going to, the thing is, we don't know what Steve Wilks coached. Steve Wilks might have coached him on that, and they might have just ignored him. But if he didn't coach him on that, then I'd be mad at Steve Wilks for those two plays that were pretty big. It's 10 points in a 14-point game.
Before I talk about what Bay Area Baller said, Bash's comment, to me, with someone like Lamar, Kyler Murray, or any of these quarterbacks, to me, if you give a guy longer than 3 seconds, 4 seconds in the pocket, whatever happens after that is on the defense. Like letting a guy run around for 10 plus seconds, screwing around, doing all that, playground style stuff where a guy is spinning and, running and spinning again and ducking and doing all this other stuff. Like how long can a cornerback cover? And then when they were covering, they got called for pass interference because the sudden change of a guy running one direction because the quarterback is now rolling that direction. It's like they're trying to get open and give them something to look at, right? And to me, it's just like anytime I watch a guy like Lamar or any of these guys that can move, once they get past that 5 seconds and they're still not down, I always think it's going to be a bad play. And pretty much that's what happened in that game. It was just constant, like you said, rushing upfield, missing them. And then he, of course, does all that whirly dervish stuff where he's just spinning around. Oh, I was getting so mad. Like, just for one time, knock his ass to the ground. I always tell people, like, these running quarterbacks, you got to knock their ass in the dirt, man. Like, you got to hit them to make them think twice. If no one touches them, it's like they're free to. And to me, I call it cheap football, that guys can run and not be touched. But it's not. They have talent. They can move. And that was on the Niners defense. They played. They played not. I don't know. They just their zone, what do they call it, gap integrity or whatever, that was pretty porous in that game. And all the talk going into the week before, and everybody saying all the right things, and then it didn't happen. I was pretty pissed off watching it.
I don't know that I would rush 5 as much as I would rush 4. Then you don't need to mush rush. You just let them all go crazy, do stunts and spin moves and everything they want to do. But you have the 5th guy spying Lamar and not even rushing, just waiting for him at the line of scrimmage, and make sure that if he breaks contain, that you're, adding pressure on him, either to keep him from running or to keep him from having easy passing lane as well.
Do you feel that the Niners, because they've been talking Super Bowl and, they're Super Bowl favorites, that maybe it got in their mind a little bit? Kind of what you were saying. You think sometimes you're thinking ahead?
It's impossible not to, see what the press is saying, what fans are saying. And people were starting to say that nobody in the NFC could touch the 49ers. And a lot of people are still saying that, to be honest. People were saying that that we were going to blow out the Ravens. And I didn't
believe that at all.
So, nope, me neither.
I didn't believe that we were going to blow out the Ravens. I thought they were too good. I always think that it could happen not because they're bad. It's just because the Niners this year, a lot of us thought certain games were going to be tough, and we went and blew teams out. So I think I might have said that to Darwin's Raven, that like I saw a couple different ways how this game was going to go. I thought maybe the Niners might, put up a lot of points and we'd be shocked, or it would have some other outcome. And it ended up being that some other outcome, which was them kicking our ass and us looking bad. So it happens. I think too, clinching early bothers me because I feel like you're in the playoffs and you won the division, but you haven't really won anything yet. And I think sometimes it's human nature to take your foot off the gas. And I don't care what people say. I just think that's partially what's going on. I mean, even Bosa's kind of like really too, like he wasn't too bummed about the end of the game. He's like, it happens, yada, yada, yada. I don't always like when people are super chill about losing. Like, I want them to be pissed off a little bit. I understand what the ultimate goal is, and I know these guys are professionals and they don't want to get too high or too low. But I'm the type of guy that I would be. You got to learn to keep your cool, but sometimes I would like to see a little bit more from guys. But they've been doing this for a while. They have the same core of players for probably about 4 years. So who am I to say anything? But before we get out of here, you never paid the bills today, so I'm going to let you do that.
Oh, man. And guess where they're from? Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore, Maryland. Oh, yeah. So you got to speak up a company from Baltimore. Oh, boy.
The Travelstead Group. Yeah, they are a retail and hospitality logistics company. They do transportation and warehousing for brick and mortar. They do FFE, which is fixed furniture and equipment. They do OSE, which is operating supplies and equipment. They do new store openings, rollouts, relocations, decommissions. From the first mile to the final mile and everywhere in between, Travelstead has you covered. Let them know how they can help you via air, ocean, or land. They do closed loop solutions for retail and hospitality. Nick and Henry are the go-to guys there. They are both big Ravens fans. Don't hold it against them. They do have 100% US-based support for when you pick up the phone. You're not going to end up in some call center overseas where they have no clue what you or your business do. These things are complex operations with usually some sort of fine-tuning, if not snafus that happen sometimes too. So the 100% US-based support is huge. And just check out their website. It's in the description of the show. It's in my YouTube About page, my Twitter bio, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you follow me. Click the link, check out the video. Make sure you tell them Ted sent you. And thanks, Aaron, for letting me pay the bills. I appreciate it.
No doubt, man. So
I saw that Randy Elite Daytona is in the house. And
thank you for coming through, Randy. Been a while.
And he says he said the defense was not the problem. It was Kyle and his crap play calling. He tried same crap in Cleveland, not to buy his motion stuff and just cover studs. I kind of agree with that a little bit. I mean, I feel like the defense got put into some pretty bad situations in that game. A lot of the touchdowns that the Ravens scored were on very short fields. But it's just interesting because Randy, the elite was him calling, Brock Purdy elite. So I'm wondering if he's still calling Brock Purdy elite this week. I'm guessing that he probably is, but I had to give him a little grief because he's been giving me grief the other way. So I had to fire back this week. I think Brock Purdy's right on the edge. I mean, I said rolling into this game that he had been playing elite, but I was not ready to say that he was elite as a player until he did it more and against some better teams. I think this Ravens game was a key opportunity for him. I think the 3 games when Trent Williams and Debo were out were another opportunity where he could prove that he's elite. I just don't think he's quite there yet, but he certainly could get there, maybe even later this season. We'll see.
I just think it's really silly to call anybody elite who hasn't even been in the league a full 2 seasons. And then you have to factor in all the other things, the last pick in the draft, size, lack of certain physical things. So I never said he was elite. I thought he was having a really, really good season. I still think, he has a chance to finish out the regular season and look really well. I really could care, to be honest with you, Ted, and to be honest with anybody in the chat, I don't care about him winning the MVP. I don't. To me, the Super Bowl is the ultimate goal. Personal accomplishments mean nothing in the end if you don't win. I mean, it's nice to be noticed and acknowledged by your peers or by the media.
Just means a bigger paycheck.
Yeah, it just, to me, it's just like David McNiner says, can we just stop the elite talk? Nobody cares. Like, I don't care. Like, I really don't. Like, I told you even before, I mean, you get into maybe not necessarily arguments, but you can get a little bit loud and a little bit, heated that you're ranking him. And I'm just like, I don't give a crap what his ranking is.
That's
and
right.
I know I already saw your rank. I think it was 4 to 7.
4 to 7. I bumped him back 2 spots from 2 to 5, skipped 3 to 6, and back to 4 to 7.
Well, there you go. If you're in here, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought it up. but I went there, and he
I was going to anyway. I was totally meaning to bring it up anyways, right here at the end. So and mention Jess. So
yeah, Jess isn't in here, but she hates when Ted goes with the ranking system. It makes her pissed. So if she sees this later on, or somebody sends a snippet to her, tell her it was Aaron. I mean, Ted said he was going to say it anyways, but I jogged the memory. I just don't care about all that stuff. I just want them to win the Super Bowl. I still think they're capable of doing it. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but in a way, I would want to see the Ravens again, just because, like, I feel like we didn't play our best game. I feel like they played really well, and we could have played a lot better. And, how much is it their defense? I think their defense played really, really good. But I also think that Kyle abandoned the run, and we were getting some pretty good chunks of run against the Ravens. And Kyle, for whatever reason, in these games, especially against these NFC or AFC, is it AFC North teams?
Yeah, they've kicked our butts.
What's
Bengals,
with this inability to run the football? You have one of the best left tackles and left guards in the NFL, and yet you want to go against the best probably the best pass rush defensive line coaching combo as far as all the sacks that they get, and just drop back and throw the ball constantly. Don't understand it. My brother said the same thing after the game. He's like, why are they throwing the ball so much? I'm like, I don't know. Jared gets mad because Kyle and the coach of the Dolphins, whatever his name, McDaniels, they get cute. And me and Jared always talk about, like, we get so sick how sometimes Jared's like, oh, I hate when he overthinks things or overcomplicates. If you're, like, doing something good, keep doing it. Silly run plays at the goal line that are lateral that should, instead of going forward, they're doing some trickery and it's a lateral play, and then they end up losing yards. He gets really pissed off at McDaniels the same way I get pissed off at Shanahan, which is, if something's working, don't go away from it. And yet they do it anyways because they're cute and they know more than us. They're way smarter than us. So who are we to talk? But we'll see. 2 games to go. We have a chance to capture home field advantage if we win the next 2 games. It's in our control. If we don't do it, we have only us to blame. And that's just is what it is. There's nothing else we can do about it. So
Tommy Huxley in the house too.
Tommy Huxley, what's up, my man? You got Chris Osorno joining late as we're about to get out of here. Yep, Tommy Huxley's in the house. I see you, my man. Trying to think what else. Anything else?
We were going back and forth and underneath my original, like, going live in 35 tweet when I did it, like, when I was like an hour and 35 before showtime. And
I was taking my pre-stream. I was taking my pre-stream nap, and you called me. And you were like, "Where are you, man?" I'm like, "It's 5:30." You're like, "Oh,
oops." Yeah, I got a little mixed up with the time zones. My bad. I apologize.
It's okay. And no, it's funny too, because, like, I take these pre-stream naps and I always feel miserable when I do them. But I get, like, anxiety, so I want to lay down because, like, just I get anxiety for everything. But especially when I'm going live, it messes with my head. So, anything else going on the channel this week you want to promote?
Nothing's set in stone.
Oh, that's right, because you're on vacation. Sorry.
I'm on vacation. But, like, Bash, if you're around Friday, I'll see if I can. So it wouldn't be noon here; it'd be 1 o'clock here, 3 o'clock Pacific. I'll see what I can do, Bash. I'm going to put in a word with the home boss for Friday. I think I'll skip tomorrow, Faithful Dogs. But it's kind of interesting. Grant Cohn tweeted something out about how the Niners definitely don't want to face the Ravens or the Browns in the Super Bowl. And, the Browns are playing well. Flacco is tearing people up. So that's pretty crazy.
Wouldn't it be something to go against Flacco and lose to him again?
Oh, God. Don't even think it, Aaron. Jesus, I can't even imagine.
Can we just win the next 2 games and take some time
I think
off?
I would have to retire as a 49ers fan to be 0-2.
If we lost a Super Bowl to the Browns and we went against Flacco, as 49er Minded said, yeah, I might have to disappear for a while. I mean, I'm already going to take a break after the season ends, whenever that is, until probably free agency hits. So I'll probably take from mid-February to mid-March off. probably come around for the draft and then disappear till training camp, just because my channel doesn't give me enough reason to stick around during those times. So, anything else? Is that pretty much it? You and Bash or Bashar on Friday?
That's it for me this week. Yeah. And probably not a lot next week either. I'll see maybe about Monday with the I Voted for Pedro show. Since we missed Christmas Day, I'll maybe try and squeeze that one in, but that might be it for me while I'm over here. And then, then we'll see. When I get back, I'll be back on the 5th. So,
okay. One of our brethren from Niners Coast to Coast had a personal situation, so we didn't have a Niners Coast to Coast stream this week, but everything's better with that situation, so we'll return next week. I'm on with Raj tomorrow, 9:30 Eastern time. I think me and Bashar on my channel this week, 6 p.m. Eastern time. I'm working on something with my UK brothers, Paul Hope. Maybe not this week, but I might see if I could get them on. We'll have to do probably like an early afternoon stream. So if anybody likes to watch football talk, say like 1 p.m. or noon, then maybe we'll have a show going on then. I'm getting an MRI tomorrow, so hopefully that goes well. My knee's killing me. So everybody, if you're out there and you care, no, I'm just kidding. Wish me luck. I can't wait to get it over with because I'm usually too big for the MRI machines. But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it. Thank you, Darwin's Raven, for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Ted will see you hopefully Friday with Bash. And go Niners, and let's go win the last 2 games and get into the playoffs with home field advantage. See ya.
Peace. Go Niners.